Welcome to the December 6th, 2022 ARPA meeting. We do have a quorum and we're ready to begin the meeting. So I don't know if everybody's had a chance to read through the meetings that Dan passed out, but if you have, if anyone has a motion, let's make it.
Accept.
Motion to approve from Ken. Second,
Second.
Dan. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, again, we're up against a time frame tonight because there's another meeting supposed to start at 7 o'clock, so we need to get you done by 6:45 at the latest. Hopefully, we should be done by 6:30. We have no guests coming tonight. Just want to take a minute to go over the Board of Selectmen. At our last meeting, as Dan has noted in the minutes, we questioned what should happen with people when they're making bids and the bid money and where that money needs to go or come from. So I brought this up in front of the Board of Selectmen at their meeting last Monday, not yesterday, but the previous Monday. And, I talked to Charlie about this and explained to them, as far as I was concerned, and cost of funding and executing a project plan may best be dealt with at the time the BOS Board of Selectmen considers and approves a grant or request. And this is pretty much what they stated they were gonna do then at that meeting. We came to kind of an agreement then. So, the idea is that we will go along the way we had started and just go through, whatever the amount are that people are asking for. It may or may not include the amount to fund the bid or get the specs of the bids and things like that. But we'll just approve the bid on the merits of whether we think it's a good idea for the town and kind of have a sense of sensitivity to the reasonableness of the number, if there is any disagreement to that. And looking back on the 5 or 9 or so that we looked at, I don't think we ever really talked to any of them saying about them, anything about the money for the bids that we were reviewing. I think we did mention to the school committee that $1 million was a lot for the grass. And, but that was really kind of, they can take care of that ahead of time or not. And, if the money is a dissuading factor for somebody that's on this committee, I would think that you would take that into consideration. As I think I would take it into consideration if I thought the money was wrong. Right?
Yeah.
Right, I think we still have that freedom to do that.
So you said, I'm sorry, just to clarify, that if there is work to be done for preliminary work studies, bids, the Board of Selectmen will deal with where that comes from?
Right, at
Okay.
the time they go, we're making a recommendation, when they go to approval time, that's when that will all come up.
Okay.
And, I think that makes the most sense and will keep us moving along at the best pace possible.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's about it from the Board of Selectmen, and, other than the last meeting notes, I think, next to discuss would be who we want to invite next and what sort of schedule. I'm looking at now, we got 24 days, or less than 24, we got 19 days till Christmas. I think I would suggest that we have our next meeting subsequent to the new year. Does that make sense, or?
I think that makes sense.
Because people, everybody, I'm busy and I don't work. So, I can only imagine what you working people are.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I'm busier than when I worked.
The only thing is, I was busy going to parties then, but maybe not. So why don't we set a date for sometime, the first of the year? Say, the second week of the first of the year? Does that make sense? Like the 10th of January?
That'd be great.
That's
Right,
fine with
'cause the
me.
3rd would be like 2 days after New Year's. All right, so, let me just get this in my calendar.
Is that Tuesday?
It is a Tuesday,
Good.
not my favorite day, but everybody else's. Okay, 18, 19, 30, My old age forgetfulness, I can't live without this. I don't know how people did it in the old days.
Definitely convenient.
My wife has the, like the whiteboard in the kitchen, and I'm just like, the first day she erases November and puts up December, I'm like, we're booked
already
every
don't have
day.
any free
What
time.
am I?
If ours doesn't have something, my husband's like, "Did you update the calendar?" That was shocking.
I'm like, all right, well, we've got something every Saturday and every Sunday. Thanks, great.
So I'll open up to discussion if anyone has anything, questions or concerns they want to bring up, thoughts. Or we use that as kind of a segue into who we're going to invite on the, whatever date we picked in January. That's why I put it in the calendar, so I don't have to remember.
I can just give a quick update with Plymouth County.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
So we got the check for the ambulance on Friday, so that was the first funds that we've received from Plymouth County for ARPA. So I think, I wanna say 312,000 change, so that application is all set. We still have the sewer application for the 350,000 that the board had authorized to be spent from ARPA funds that's been doing preliminary design work for the Brockton sewer line. That application's been submitted to Plymouth County, and they've come back, I want to say only once so far, requesting some additional information. So we sent that back beginning of last week maybe, and haven't heard anything since then. So John Haynes has been getting what we need. And then we did, before, when we first started talking, we were gonna submit applications to Plymouth County. Hello. So we had done the playground application, and then we were kinda told to put a hold on that for now. So the playground application is in and has got one round of comments from Plymouth County, and we've gone back with the information that they've requested. So, that's where we stand with that. I'd like, obviously, hope the sewer application keeps moving along, because that money we've basically spent from our NEU funds. So if we can get it back from Plymouth County, it frees up the NEU money. But it was good to get the ambulance check, and
Yep. Job well done.
yeah,
Thank you.
Yes, progress for sure.
All right, anybody else open forum, whatever?
You mentioned costs. I think that's the thing that's continually sticking in my mind. It seems like, the costs that we've been giving, the requests that we've been given, some of the costs just seem outrageous. Does anybody else feel that way, or is it just me?
I concur with you last time, yes.
Yeah, I think it's just,
Ballooned up to, not getting any estimates, so.
yeah,
we
at
should
some
actually get
point,
some
at
actual-
some point, somebody's gotta pare these things down to the minimum of what's needed. It seems like, some of the things I look at, and it's hard to compare really, but, looking at the 600,000 or so for the pavilion,
Mm.
And I just skimmed online, and you can see 60 by 40 pavilions for 150,000, by the Amish. And, so it's just, at what point do these numbers become realistic as opposed to pie in the sky requests?
Do you think a lot kind of came in as like a wish list almost? Like, here's, if everything was perfect and we could do X, Y, and Z, this would maybe be like the top end? Or do you think that maybe the due diligence wasn't necessarily done?
Won't these have to go through procurement, though?
They will,
Everybody
yeah.
will,
They all will,
Yeah.
so I
So
mean,
what's what,
Right,
that's a well-known number, right, for procurement?
yeah, they'll all have to go through it.
So they will be whittled down, or they'll be
Yes.
finalized, they'll be firmed up, and they'll be more realistic at a certain point. So we're just saying, we agree, and we're gonna forward this ahead, and someone else is going to do the actual numbers crunching when it comes to
But I don't
handing
think
out the
there's
check.
anything wrong with if someone's presenting, still questioning the dollar amount and where they got the figures, and just as, if we're not making it our top priority, but I don't think there's anything wrong with us talking to them about it, right?
Right, no, I
Yeah.
think we can bring it up, and at the end of the day, I think what it'll come down to is the Board of Selectmen will be more on top of it, and, my view is what would happen is, so say you take the pavilion, $600,000. So, if it gets to them and it's still $600,000, and they think it should be $150,000, that'd put $450,000 back in. So, we're not necessarily done when all this gets to the Board of Selectmen. We're done when there's nothing left to recommend, is my view. So if they cut money off some bids, then, that's more money to be spent. And how that's would work with the applications are closed or like that, or something like that, you might have a better idea of, but
Yeah, I don't think the applications would be closed at that point. I think,
we've reopened, I think, probably for more input.
right, I think, because I don't think we'll get an approved application without showing how we got the figures that we're requesting. So just for the playground, for example, they needed to see the quote, and whether we got 3 quotes or if it was, exempt from getting 3 quotes as it's
Right.
on the mass buy list, and I need to double check how that works with federal procurement. But they're asking for that stuff during the application process.
And it makes sense that they do.
Yeah, so there'll be a point where the spending will be justified by a firm quote
Yeah.
or a purchase order or something,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's essentially, it's out of our hands, because again, we keep thinking we're approving these, but we're making a recommendation to the
Right.
Board of Selectmen, and the Board of Selectmen are the ones that are on the block for doing the approval or the disapproval, or send it back for more information, things like that.
Well, I think he's trying to say, for me, just to be clear, is that, yeah, we're making these recommendations, but when do we actually get to see the numbers prior to the approval? Like, why can't we get those information prior to the next step? Because like, the selectmen, that's their role, yes, but at the same time, like, those numbers are kind of like ballooned up, so why couldn't they, they have time now that yes, okay, we're recommending this, okay, great, but go do your due diligence in finding out, the actual cost for these projects. That's what I thought that we were doing in terms of allocating the funds.
And we were going down that way till the last meeting where it came up that, it can be $50,000 to get this, do the due diligence to get a real quote and get the 3 real quotes that are gonna be required. And where does that money come from? We're gonna authorize somebody to spend $50,000 up front to get a quote for their project, and go through all kinds of rigmarole and take time. And, what we agreed to with the Board of Selectmen, or I agreed to in person, was we would just go along and approve the request based on the merit, and deal with those things, and let them deal with the cost, right? The cost of getting the cost and things like that.
Okay.
And that way we could move along faster, get them to them, and then they could deal with it and get it to Plymouth County
Okay.
more based on their approval, because it's up to them what's gonna be spent and what's not gonna be spent.
So I know that they had said Plymouth County had kind of like sets of auditors that they go through, so I'm assuming that they would also check this money stuff, and
Yeah.
I just don't know if if it comes back from them and they say, no, this money doesn't seem right, do they tweak it and then send it back, or is that it's
They
done?
I wouldn't say like that necessarily, because they wouldn't just see a dollar figure. They
Mhm.
would see the supporting documentation for, if there were 3 different quotes provided, they would look at that, but they're not just gonna see $50,000 and think, oh, that's inflated, because they'll have more
Okay,
backup with it,
Yeah.
I guess.
Like, there's a whole anything like, I forget what the number is, like $20,000 or $50,000.
Yeah, and you need the quotes, and then once
Big-
you're over that, you need the bids, and the bids is where you get into, you
Big
have
money.
to pay to have a bid set up, and the quotes for the smaller projects is reasonable to
yeah, for
think that people could,
the big guys,
provide
it's gonna
3
cost the
quotes.
money for the big projects, yeah.
But with the pavilion, like you said, $600,000, and you can look it up 150, that's a huge gap.
right,
Big disparity.
That's a big, so that's
Yeah,
where I'm trying to, like, at some point, we could say, yeah, we recommended this, but can we get some realistic figures so that way we can move forward in regards to what, to move it to the next stages?
So basically, I feel like we're recommending or rejecting on the merit of the project itself. And then the selectmen and the finance committee and everybody else is going to say the money's good, the money's not good, and they're gonna, we're gonna, the funding itself, the amount is out of our hands.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. I mean, it's just, our job, is this a good idea for the town, really, is the way to look at it.
Okay.
You know, and let them worry about how much it costs and.
Okay. And that's pretty easy peasy then.
A little easier.
I like that. 2 mil, sure, they figure
Right,
out.
right. Yeah.
I mean, but we can consider, I mean, if we think $600,000 a lot, that can be part of a recommendation.
I was gonna say, we could add
Exactly.
that to.
That's what I'm
What
saying.
we recommend.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Yeah, we could say, I don't know if we wanna come up with a number, but we would probably be better off coming up with,
Not to exceed 300 or not to
Yeah.
exceed 250 or,
we think this is too much and, ensure that votes that we get back are supported, something like that.
yeah.
We being the town, not so much our
Not us.
community.
Yeah.
And Nancy Hill was very upfront about that too, saying they didn't really have a firm price
Right.
cost. They were just throwing that number out there, so.
Right, and their unknowns were excavation
Right.
and electricity being run to the site.
Sure. I mean,
Where
the
were they
numbers are just
proposing-
astounding.
What part of the grounds were they proposing it on?
It was behind the building, I think.
Out towards the trails and stuff.
I think so.
There were 2 spots. They
They
had
gave
one,
us a
if you know
little
where the
map.
gardens are,
Did you get that?
No, I'll ask her for it though. I was just curious.
if you know where the garden is,
Mhm.
they were looking to the west of the garden. So between the garden, there's a little bit of a slope there and it goes down to the tree line.
Yeah.
That's one of the spots. And then the other spot, I think, was on the other side of the garden, more toward the east, but that's kind of swampy.
I was gonna say a
That's
lot
what
of
the
it's
dogs love
kinda
it.
swampy.
They have a lot of, I mean, they have nice, I think it's a great idea.
It's beautiful
Just, you know,
down there.
Yeah, and, because I'm involved with the garden, and it's like a paradise down there because it's so quiet, and there's always the community, the dog walkers and the gardeners, and just people hiking, so to put that out there would be really nice.
I just
Agreed.
wish we had more community events there. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like it's very, like, senior center, I know it's supposed to be both, but I feel like a lot of times the community center piece of it gets overlooked.
And I think,
Besides the dog
you're right, it's the senior center, but it's for everybody, and, all ages down there,
Right.
so it's nice. It's ideal, really. For $600,000, I'm not sure.
All right, do we wanna pick our next group of people for the January meeting? Did we do we did do the LED lighting from Church Street, right? And the concession stands?
We did a number of those things, I think,
Yeah.
LED and the Little League field.
I think we're up to the sidewalk on Union Street, does that sound right?
Yes.
So that would be Howard Wilbur. Then the snow blowers for the school would be John Shea. Scoreboard at Strong's Fields, John Shea. Roof replacement, John Shea.
Which one was that?
Roof replacement for youth sports buildings. Then the outdoor movie system would be the 5th one. And again, it's the prolific Mr. Shea.
Looks like we're meeting with John Shea.
And a special guest of Howard Wilbur. Sound good?
Will
Yes,
you
it
reach out
does.
to John, or do you want Me to reach out to him?
If you wanna reach out to him, and you're gonna reach out to Howard too?
I can.
Okay, thank
Do
you.
you know Howard or?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know Howard.
I will reach out.
If you want, I'll call. I mean, just,
No, that's okay. I don't know him, but I will reach out. January 10th at
6 PM?
I won't be here. This table,
Okay.
I'm on vacation.
And then for John, what items? I got
It's
snow blowers.
snow blowers, strong scoreboard, roof replacement for youth. Am I going too fast? For us.
Scoreboard, replacement of roof.
Yep, for the youth sports. And the outdoor movie system.
See, I don't see the Friends of the Trails on this.
I was wondering about, I was just thinking.
Howard Wilbur's
they-
involved with that.
Right, but they never submitted anything, did they? I think,
Oh, yeah, they were on there.
Yeah, they were
oh, yeah,
on
no,
there.
that's purchase of land.
No, the
No.
Friends of the Trails was looking to
Yeah,
make it more ADA
Compliance.
compliant for the trails.
let's see, the meeting.
They scored pretty high, too, right? They
Yeah.
scored high.
It did.
Yeah.
It was-
Yeah.
I think they did, yeah. I'm just surprised.
There, it's the fourth one, Sachem Rock and Bennett Lane site
Yeah.
safety report.
Oh, right, okay, there it is.
All right, so do we wanna,
Because Howard Wilbur is involved with the Friends of the Trails too, so
Yes.
maybe that would be a good combination.
So maybe wait on John and.
why don't we just go with an extra one, and since
Okay,
he's gonna be here anyway?
Yeah,
so
Yeah.
Friends of Trail, so John and Howard and Friends of Trails are Friends of,
I think Diane Phillips is involved with that too.
there should be contact
Friends of Trails, I'm
information
not
on the
sure.
application, right?
I don't have the application out, but how come we see her name? John. Diane Phillips is the authorized representative for Friends of Trails.
Okay, yeah.
Sounds good.
You have her number?
Is it on the application there? I
Yep.
have the applications
Yep.
in my office, so.
It's there. That one. All right, anybody have anything else they wanna bring up for tonight?
Nope.
No one else, Laura. Hope everyone has a happy holiday.
Same to you, yeah.
That was poor judgment on my part, but I couldn't resist. So, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
not even
So carried.
6:30.
Look at that.